Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm continuing my read through and review of The Book of the Damned by Charles Fort. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show, including the Patreon feed and the merch store at the website, which is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, especially these days as there are expenses in making these shows. Also, please check out all the links in every episode description for friends of the show. First of all, of course, Jen, the Arcane Observer, who is the co-host of this show, usually on Saturdays, and then Michael Strange, host of Trouble Minds Radio, both the show and then also the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear my show and many other amazing shows. They are 24/7 online. So we're continuing with this review. I did want to mention, for anyone that is noticing that I'm recording and or putting out a lot of these shows, the reason I'm putting out more of these at times than the experiences shows is with these, I don't have to do any extra research or any research for them. I'm just reading and then reacting to what I'm reading. The true stories, I have to find all those, and I have to read through a lot of other stuff that I don't end up using to find the stories that fit the show, the theme of not the theme, but the general tone of the show before I can use them. So it takes time to find all those. So I can't just automatically do 4 of those shows in 1 week without having any saved up in advance, because again, that takes time. If that ever changes, I will definitely do more of those shows because I do love those. But as of right now, it's doing 2 of those per week is usually my limit. But with these other kinds of shows, these shows where I read things, like I said, it's nice because I don't have to do any extra work for them in advance. So yeah, just want to point that out in case anyone is wondering why I'm doing so many of these shows. It's just it's technically just easier to do. So, and I do enjoy them as well. So, but yeah, thank you all for listening in, and this has been amazing so far. Partly just because I'm a writer myself here and there, and so reading someone else's writing from a century ago is an amazing challenge to do, and also to try to process what he's saying at the same time, and then try to talk about it after. So it's a neat little sort of a challenge for me to do these shows in a way, but it's still fun because of the topic, which is of course anomalous events, things falling from the sky that don't make sense, and that's just this book. We are going to read through his other books on anomalous events, and those cover things beyond just things falling from the sky. So that's not all he covers. So speaking of this book here, let me get back to this and find where I was at. So I think I found it, so we'll go from here. It says the prime resistance to the positivist attempt by science is its relations with other phenomena, or that it only expresses those relations in the first place, or that a science can have let me see. Oh, seeming. All right, did that skip too many pages? Let me check 1 second here. I might have skipped pages I didn't want to skip. Let's check. Okay, nope, that was right. Science can have seeming or survive in intermediateness as no more than could a river or a city, or a mountain, or a store. This intermediateness wide attempt by parts to be wholes, WHOLES, which cannot be realized in our quasi-state, if we accept that in it the coexistence of two or more wholes or universals is impossible. High approximation to which, however, may be thinkable. Scientists and their dreams of pure science. Artists and their dreams of art for art's sake. It is our notion that if they could almost realize, that would be almost realness, that they would instantly be translated into real existence. Such thinkers are good positivists, but they are evil in an economic and sociologic sense. If, in that sense, nothing has justification for being unless it serve or function for or express the relations of some higher aggregate. So science functions for and serves society at large, and would, from society at large, receive no support unless it did so divert itself or dissipate and prostitute itself. That's quite the use of that word. It seems that by prostitution, I mean usefulness. That's, again, quite the use for that. There have been red rains that in the Middle Ages were called rains of blood. Such rains terrified many persons and were so unsettling to large populations that science, in its sociologic relations, has sought, by Mrs. Eddy's method, to remove an evil. That rains of blood do not exist. That rains, so called, are only of water, colored by sand from the Sahara Desert. My own acceptance is that such assurances, whether fictitious or not, whether the Sahara is a dazzling white desert or not, have wrought such good effects in a sociologic sense, even though prostitutional in the positivist sense, that in the sociology sense, they were well justified. Also, I forgot to say at the beginning of the show, as I should in all these shows, the words and thoughts and opinions in this book I'm reading are not necessarily my own or those of anyone else on the show. This is all from Charles Fort here, and we talk about this as we go. But anyway, it says, but that we've gone on, that this is the 20th century, that most of us have grown up so that such soporifics of the past are no longer necessary. That if gushes of blood should fall from the sky upon New York City, business would go on as usual. We began with rains that we accepted ourselves were, most likely, only of sand. In my own still immature hereticalness, and by heresy or progress, I mean very largely a return, though with many modifications, to the superstitions of the past. I think I feel considerable aloofness to the idea of rains of blood. just at present. It is my conservative or timid purpose to express only that there have been red rains that very strongly suggest blood or finely divided animal matter. Debris from interplanetary disasters, aerial battles, food supplies from cargoes of super vessels wrecked in interplanetary traffic. There was a red rain in the Mediterranean region, March 6, 1888. 12 days later, it fell again. Whatever this substance may have been, when burned, the odor of animal matter. Oops. There we go. Okay, right, that's right. From it was strong and persistent. Astronomy, 1888. 1888-205. But infinite heterogeneity or debris from many different kinds of aerial cargoes. There have been red rains that have been colored by neither sand nor animal matter. Annals of Philosophy, 16-226. That November 2, 1819, week before the Black Rain and earthquake of Canada, there fell at Blankenberg, Holland, a red rain. As to the sand, two chemists of Bruges, not sure, concentrated 144 ounces of the rain to 4 ounces. No precipitate fell, but the color was so marked that had there been sand, it would have been deposited. If the substance had been diluted instead of concentrated, experiments were made and various reagents did cast precipitates, but other than sand. The chemists concluded that the rain water contained a muriate of cobalt, which is not very enlightening. That could be said of many substances carried in vessels upon the Atlantic Ocean. Whatever it may have been, in the Annals de Chimie, not sure, 2-12-432, its color is, I see, I think I lost my spot again. Sorry. Let's see here. Said to have, there we go, been red violet. For various chemic reactions, see Quarterly Journal, Royal Institute, 9-202, and Edinburgh, I'm guessing, Edinburgh, Philosophical Journal, 2-381, 381. Something that fell with dust, said to have been meteoric, March 9th, 10th, 11th, 1872, described in the Chemical News 25-300 as a peculiar substance. Consisted of red iron ochre, carbonate of lime, and organic matter. Orange red hail, March 14th, 1873, in Tuscany. In parentheses, notes and queries, 9-5-16. Rain of lavender-colored substance at Odon, France, December 19, 1903. Bulletin of Society of Meteorology de France, 1904-124. La Nature, 1885-2-351. And sorry if I'm mispronouncing everything. I only know one language and barely. So that according to Professor Schwedoff, Schwedoff, there we go. There fell in Russia, June 14, 1880, red hailstones, also blue hailstones, also gray hailstones. Nature, 34-123. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. A correspondent writes that he had been told by a resident of a small town in Venezuela that there, April 17, 1886, had fallen hailstones, some red, some blue, some whitish. Informant said to have been one unlikely ever to have heard of the Russian phenomenon, described as an, in quotation marks, honest, plain countryman, end quotation marks. Nature, July 5th, 1877, quotes a Roman correspondent to the London Times, who sent a translation from an Italian newspaper that a red rain had fallen in Italy, June 23rd, 1877, containing microscopically small particles of sand. Or, according to our acceptance, any other story would have been an evil thing. In the sociologic sense, in Italy in 1887. But the English correspondent from a land where terrifying red rains are uncommon does not feel this necessity. He writes, in quotation marks, I am by no means satisfied that the rain was of sand and water, end quotation marks. His observations are that drops of this rain left stains, in quotation marks, such as sandy water could not have, or could not leave, in quotation marks. He notes that when the water evaporated, no sand was left behind. There's another journal here. It's in French. I'm not going to be able to say it. 1888-75. That December 13th, 1887, there fell in Cochin? I'm not sure. China. A substance like blood, somewhat coagulated. 85-266, that same publication. That, or no, I'm sorry, different one that I still can't say. That a thick, viscous red matter fell at ULM, in 1812. We now have a datum with a factor that has been foreshadowed, which will recur and recur and recur throughout this book. It is a factor that makes for speculation so revolutionary that it will have to be reinforced many times before we can take it into full acceptance. Yearbook of Facts. That's a neat title, actually. 1861-273. Quotation from a letter from Professor Campini to Professor Matucci, that upon December 28th, 1860, at about 7 a.m., in the northwestern part of Siena, a reddish rain fell copiously for 2 hours. A second red shower fell at 11 o'clock, 3 days later, the red rain fell again. The next day, another red rain fell. Still more extraordinarily, each fall occurred in exactly the same quarter of town, in quotation marks. That's the end of that chapter. So here you have just case after case after case of really just this amazing experience that people are having, where they are just, he's pointing out rain after rain after rain of objects, and it really is amazing in how many that are mentioned in there. I'm seeing 2 notifications here, but I'm not seeing where the other one is. Oh, there it is. So yeah, it's just really wild that Fort just points out so many of these cases in so many parts of the world, and in some cases, there's repeated rains in the same spot. And again, one of the other amazing things he points out is the fact that these don't happen and always happen in across massive parts of land. They can happen just in one part of a town, which is really amazing, especially if it was not a huge town. Then that is a relatively specific area for anything to come down and land on, and that with that kind of, as he even called it at one point, basically precision, that kind of accuracy, to where it doesn't seem like it could be a weather phenomenon. Now, I have heard of just really small patches of storms or rains or clouds just moving through areas. So, not to say that that's impossible, but it's still amazing just the number of these accounts. So we'll start the next chapter here. We won't get very far, probably just a paragraph. Yeah, this looks good. So this is chapter 4. I thought we were on chapter 2 last time, but we're on 3. This says, it is in the records of the French Academy that upon March 17th, 1669, in the town of Chatelain-sur-Seine, I'm mispronouncing that, fell a reddish substance that was, in quotation marks, thick, viscous, and putrid, in quotation marks. Then it says, American Journal of Science, 1-41-404. Story of a highly unpleasant substance that had fallen from the sky in Wilson County, Tennessee. And that's, I don't think we have time to finish that paragraph. So he's going on with this topic here, but yeah, it's really been amazing going through all this. Why is there we go. Okay. Discord was not opening, but yeah, so he goes on with this, and this whole book is filled with all these descriptions of all these different kinds of rains, but there's more than just water, as well, as we will see as we get further into the book. So thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.